Yo, what is up, you guys? It's your boy American Gaming Darrell, back again with some Neverwinter action. Today we're going to be looking at my new Hunter Ranger build. And yes, I have not updated my Hunter Ranger build in a very long time. And since you guys really liked my last video, I figured why not give them another build and another look through. So yeah, we're going to start out through my character sheet, and we're going to go straight to stats, and we're going to look at the ability score. For Hunter Ranger, you want to mainly focus on dexterity and wisdom, and strength being your very last stat. And when you're doing the ability roll, when you're first creating your character, you want to make sure that your dexterity has the highest rank. I believe that the highest roll was 20, 18, and 15, or 20, 15, and 13. One of those. I don't really remember. But as you go through the levels, make sure you put all your +1s in your dexterity and your wisdom all the way up until 70, and you see you'll get your automatic 2 points and everything else just from. Alright guys, let's jump right into my powers that I use. So the first up, my at will rapid shot. For the range rapid shot, fire a flurry of arrows at the enemy, and for melee rapid strike, strike your target at close range. For my daily power, I use seismic shot. One of my encounter powers is hindering shot and hindering strike. Hindering shot, fire 2 arrows into your enemy's shins, applying weak grasping roots. This power has 3 charges. Melee hindering strike, slash your enemy's ankles, applying a grasping root. The next daily power that I use is Forest Ghost. Slip into the forest where you remain unseen for a short duration. While hidden, you automatically strike nearby enemies you come across. Each target will not be attacked more than once per second. The next power that I don't have on, or class feature that I don't have on, because at the moment I haven't been running alone, is Aspect of the Lone Wolf. I rarely use this when I'm running by myself, so yeah. Basically, the description of this game: 5% deflect and 2% bonus deflect for each enemy within 15 of your maximum bonus of you, and the maximum bonus 10%. My next encounter power that I use is Constricting Arrow. Fire an arrow at your opponents, causing strong grasping roots to constrict around them and all foes near them. And the melee still breeze. Spin and slash your blades, damaging your enemies around you and regaining stamina for each enemy hit. The one class feature that I use is Aspect of the Serpent. Add a stacking buff on every power use, increasing your damage. If the stacks are added from range stands, they will affect your melee attacks and vice versa. Each buffed attack reduces the stack by 1, and both types cannot affect you at the same time. These I don't use at all, obviously, because of the lack of points. Alright, so my next at will is Hunter's Teamwork. So at range, Hunter's Teamwork, you spot supplies on enemies and shoot an arrow at them to mark their location for a long duration. Your marked enemy deals less damage, and if killed, they drop supplies that can be picked up and restore a small amount of health, action points, and stamina to everyone on your team. And for the melee careful attack, you study your target, signaling gaps in their defense to your allies. Enemies studied in this way are damaged by this power. When they are hurt, applying this debuff does not build threat, but the damage itself does. Damage effect cannot trigger more than once every 1.5 seconds. You can only have one target studied at a time. And these I don't really use. I may use them when I switch around my build. I don't know about any of these powers. Honestly, I've looked into them. I haven't done any like deep diving into them, so that's why I don't use them. Yeah, etc, etc. I do use Fox's Cunning only if I need a buff, debuff, whatever, or I need to help the tank survive in whatever situation I'm in. Alright, and this reads Fox's Cunning. With the precise timing of Fox, You and one nearby ally dodge the next incoming attack. Melee Fox Shift dashes nearby targets, reducing their run speed while increasing your own. Each target can only be hit twice. As I said, I use this when I guess I don't feel very confident in the tank and I can stay close to him. I could just use it in my range form to give him an extra dodge, so they'll increase his life. Now I do use Long Strider Shot. Long Strider Shot. You launch a swift arrow at your targets if you are standing at least 30 feet away from the target. From the target, all allies gain damage bonus and 6% move speed for 4 seconds. This speed bonus diminishes to 0 over 4 seconds. Melee Gushing Wound. You slice the target, causing them to bleed over 20 seconds. Allies who strike this target cause the bleed to advance, ticking immediately. I mainly use this when we need a buff on the boss, because this increases the damage if you're 30 feet away, and it also increases the run speed. The next class feature that I use every now and then is called Seeker's Vengeance. When you strike a foe from behind, your attack deals 10% more damage. I use this because as a Hunter Ranger, you can get behind an enemy so long as the tank is keeping aggro, and you can continuously attack. And so continually attacking, you keep getting that 10% damage as long as you're behind them. Alright, and next power and counter power that I use is Cordon of Arrows, which if you're a Hunter Ranger, if you played, you probably know all about this. Cordon of Arrows designate a target location. If a hostile creature steps within 15 feet of it, it becomes entangled, takes damage. Is that? I don't know if that's 15 feet. I don't know. Whatever. It's 15, whatever. It becomes entangled, takes damage, and pulled to the center of the trap. You may have a maximum of three of these in any area active at a time. For the melee, plant growth, slash your foe, causing plants to grow wildly around them. Rooting all targets for 20 seconds, 10 seconds on players. This root breaks if the target takes more than 500% of your damage. And last but not least, class feature that I use is Crushing Roots. Your weak grasping roots now also daze the targets for 0.125 seconds, and your strong grasping roots dazes the target for 0.25 seconds. I use Crushing Roots simply because all the powers and counter powers that I use, they all deal with roots. They all cause some sort of root to happen. So dazing the enemy causes them not to attack, and if they're not attacking, they can't kill you. So that's why I use that. Keeps them dazed, keeps them in place, and you just have a free hit each time they get entangled. Next up, we're going to head to our feats. So I have 3 out of 3 in toughness, increases maximum hit point by 9%. A 3 out of 3 in weapon mastery, increases your critical chance by 3%. A 1 out of 5 in predatory action, your daily powers deal 5% more damage. Agile combatant, 3 out of 3 after switching stances, deal 3% more damage for 5 seconds. A 2 out of 3 for lucky skirmisher, increases your deflection chance by 2%. Nature's enhancement, 2 out of 5 when switching the melee stance, increase your deflect severity by 2% for 5 seconds. A 3 out of 3 on endless assault, your encounter powers deal 6% more damage. Disciple dexterity, increases the amount of bonus damage dexterity gives you 6%. Next, let's head into the Paragon. I have a 5 out of 5 into Bloodletting. While in melee stance, you gain 5% more lifesteal. Fleet stance, when you switch stances, you move 10% faster for 6 seconds. Your melee encounter powers cause your next range encounter power to deal 10% more damage. Your range encounter powers cause your next melee encounter power to deal 10% more damage. Forest Bond, when you apply Grasping Roots, you reduce the cooldown of all currently recharging powers. Swiftness of the Fox, your melee encounter and at-will powers shorten the cooldown of your range encounter powers by 15%. Your range encounter powers and at-will powers shorten the cooldown of your melee encounter powers by 15%. Your daily powers shorten the cooldown of all your encounter powers by 15%. Ancient Roots, your weak grasping roots now last 2.5 seconds longer. Your strong grasping roots now last 5 seconds longer. This benefit is halved on players. A 5 out of 5 on Serpent's Bite. Your Aspect of the Serpent class feature now provides 5% more damage per stack. Additionally, these stacks also provide 2.5% critical chance per stack. And Thorn Roots, your strong grasping roots are upgraded to Thorn Roots. The Thorn Roots deal 200% of your main hand weapon damage every second. When hitting a control immune target, an additional 450% of your main hand weapon damage is immediately dealt. And last but not least, our Biting Snare. When you apply grasping roots or Thorn Roots, you gain Biting Snares. Biting Snares causes your next stance shift to grant your Master Trapper, which generates 20% of your AP, increases your damage by 30%, and increases your Thorn Roots a control duration by 60% for 10 seconds. This effect can only be triggered. This effect can only be triggered once every 10 seconds. That's funny. That's a mistake, guys. At Neverwinter, you find it, you might want to fix it. Hey, it should be triggered, I guess. As of now, guys, I do not have all my campaigns completed. I am in the works of completing all my campaigns, but I'm trying. So yeah, as of right now, our guild has power bonus, and I have that active. For defense, we have I have my defense bonus added. And for utility, I have my mount speed. And when I'm leveling up a character, I usually use the experience bonus. And we don't have any PvP boons at the moment. I have no PvP boons because I don't PvP. For Sharndar, I use Dark Fate Hunter. You gain 400 power. Fate Precision, you gain 400 critical strike. And for my next one, I was going to use Feywild's Fortitude. Your max HP is increased by 1600. But you can also get Elven Haste. You now gain action points 3% faster. But I don't really feel like that's a must-have because your action points as a Hunter Ranger go up pretty fast just from using your counter powers and basically all of your powers. And the next one, I would put in Elven Ferocity. When striking a foe, you have a chance to deal up to 20,000 arcane damage. And last but not least, you can go through these. Elven Resolve, your stamina regenerates 10% faster in combat. Fade Thistle, when you deflect an attack, you deal up to 3,000 damage to your attacker. Elvish Fury, when you kill a foe, you gain 135 power for 45 seconds. This buff stacks up to 30 times. And Red Cap Brew, potions now heal you for 10% more. Personally, I would get the Elvish Fury, but you guys can pick whatever you want. I'm just here to help. For Dread Ring, I have Conjurer's Gambit, 250 critical strike and 250 movement. Evoker's Thirst, you gain 400 lifesteal. Forbidden Piercing, you gain 3% resistance ignored. But you could also pick Illusion Shimmer, which gives you a 3% deflect chance, which deflect is very good on the Hunter Ranger. I have Shadow Touch. When dealing damage, you have a chance to deal up to 20,000 necrotic damage over a few seconds. After this effect ends, the target receives 25% less damage from spells for 10 seconds. And last but not least, Rampaging Madness. When you deal damage, you gain a stack of madness. When you reach 50 stacks of madness, you gain 4,000 power, 4,000 lifesteal, and 4,000 generation. 10 seconds after getting this bonus, your stacks are reset. You may only gain 1 stack of madness per second. Next up is Icewind Dale. I have Encroaching Tactics, or encroaching, whatever. You gain 400 combat advantage. Next up, Refreshing Chill, you gain 400 stamina. Sleep Skills, you gain 2% critical severity. And Cool Resolve, you gain up to 2,000 power based on how much stamina or guard you are missing. And the next one I would get, Chance when healed to gain up to 3,000 damage bonus on next attack. Personally, that's what I would get, because the rest of these, drinking the health potion now heals allies, your other allies, which you don't need that as a hunter ranger. Gain 10% action points. You really don't need that as a hunter ranger either. When damaged by avalanche or damaged by a foe, you gain a chance to add 20 stacks. Taking damage will clear the stacks, deal up to 15,000 damage nearby. Okay, out of these two, I would pick Rousing Warmth. But, well, I guess it would truly be up to you. Avalanche would be great because it deals 15,000 damage, while also when you're healed, but this is only a chance. So honestly, I would actually go with Avalanche just because it's a 15,000 damage after you take 20 stacks of damage. You can deal out 15,000, and this one you can only have a chance when healed to gain up to 3,000 bonus damage on the next attack. So your personnel would go with the Avalanche. Next up, the Underdark. Primordial Might, you gain 400 power and 1600 maximum hit points. Primordial Focus, you gain 400 critical strike and 1600 maximum hit points. And Drow Ambush Tactics, combat advantage damage bonus gives you increased by 10%. And either one of these, personally, I would get the Dwarven Stamina. You now regain stamina 5% faster. And going through the last four, Demonic Domination gives you 25% control bonus. Abyssal Tenacity, demons do 5% less damage to you. Demon Slayer, you have a chance to slay lesser demons outright when attacking them. The chance runs from 0 to 5% depending on the demon's hit points remaining. And Abyssal Strikes gain 10% damage versus demons. I would personally get Abyssal Strike just because you get that 10% bonus damage. Well, not bonus damage, but you gain 10% damage versus demons. Next up, the Tyranny of Dragons. Dragon's Claw grants you 400 power. Dragon's Gaze grants you 400 critical strike. Draconic Armor Breaker grants you 400 armor penetration. Dragon's Greed grants you 400 lifesteal. And let's go through the last four. Dragon's Thirst grants you 5% increased lifesteal. Dragon's Revival grants you 15% increased incoming heal. Dragon's Fury grants you 8% critical severity. And Dragon's Grip, 15% control strength. As a hunter ranger, I would personally get the Dragon's Fury because it increases your critical severity, and crit on a hunter ranger is like top tier. You need crit. On the Maze Engine, this is one of my boons or campaigns that I just haven't gone through. But for the first one I would get is the Abyssal Siphoning. You gain a 5% lifesteal severity. Then the next one I would get, let's actually read through them. Demonic Influence, you gain 400 combat advantage. Demonic Resilience, control effects will now have 5% shorter durations when applied to you. I would personally get the Demonic Influence. Let's read the next two. Demonic Endurance, your stamina regenerates 10% faster in combat. And Demonic Swiftness, you now gain action points 3% faster. I would personally just go ahead and get the Demonic Endurance and go and regenerate your stamina 10% faster. And let's read through the last four. Displace Fate, when below 30% health, you gain a shield increasing damage resistance by 60%. Engine Inspiration, yeah, healing spells have a chance to heal allies around you for 20,000 hit points. Baphomet's Might, when striking a foe, you have a chance to gain 2,000 critical strike bonus for 6 seconds. And Baleful Clutch grants you 10% increased control strength. Personally, I would get the Baphomet's Might because it increases your critical strike bonus for it increases your critical strike chance by 2,000 for 6 seconds. Next up, Elemental Evil. The first one, Wave of Force, you gain 300 power and 2,000 maximum hit points. Heart of Stone, you gain 4% lifesteal severity and 2,000 maximum hit points. Searing Aggression, you gain 400 critical strike and 2,000 maximum hit points. And Gale of Retribution, when taking damage, you have a chance to heal up to 24,000 hit points over a few seconds. After this effect ends, your critical strike is increased by 1,000 for 10 seconds. Next up is another one that I just haven't done, the Storm King's Thunder. I actually just started working on this a few days ago, and yeah, I'm just working on it. But right now, let's just read through them. Frosted Demeanor, you gain 2% resistance and 1,000 hit points. Cold Hearted, you gain 2% lifesteal severity and 1,000 maximum points. As a Hunter Ranger, you would get Cold Hearted. That's next to Survival Instincts, you gain 400 incoming healing bonus and 2% Everfrost damage. Hardy Constitution, you gain 400 stamina gain and 2%. You would go with Hardy Constitution next. Chill Determination, you gain up to 2,000 recovery based on how much stamina or guard you are missing. Chance when taking damage to gain up to 2,000 bonus damage on the next attack. Then Icy Wrath would be my next pick. It's the next two. Vengeful Heat, when you kill a foe, you have a chance to do up to 2,000 fire damage to all nearby enemies. You also gain 2% Everfrost. Glacial Strength, your max HP is increased by 3,200 and 2%. So next up, I would get the Vengeful Heat. So let's read the next four. Chill of Winter, when striking a foe, you have a chance to gain a stack of Icy Chill at 10 stacks. Your next attack clears all attacks and releases a burst that deals up to 14,000 damage to targets close to you. Healing Warmth, when healing allies, your healing spells have a chance to damage up to 5 enemies at the target for up to 6,000 damage. Titan's Affinity, healing potions now heal 15% more. Frozen Reflection, when you deflect an attack, you deal up to 7,000 damage to your attacker. This is up to you. You could either get Chill of Winter or Frozen Reflection. I would personally get Chill of Winter, but the choice is yours. And the Cloak Ascendancy, also, I'm working on it. I'm in the process of doing it right as we speak. So first up, the Aura of Hope, when you kill an enemy that you have a chance to emit an Aura of Hope that boosts AP gain for all allies within 25 feet. An Aura of Despair, when you kill an enemy, you have a chance to emit an Aura of Despair that stuns up to 5 enemies within 25 feet. I would personally get the Aura of Despair. Next up, Healing Heat, you gain 2% incoming healing bonus and 1,000 maximum hit points. Fiery Frenzy, you gain 2% critical strike severity and 1,000 maximum hit points. I would personally get Fiery Frenzy. Next up, Fey Briars, you gain 500 lifesteal and 2,000 maximum hit points. Soothing Zephyr, you gain 500 recovery and 2,000 maximum hit points. I would personally get Fey Briars. And let's go ahead and read the next four. Vision of Beyond, when you land a critical strike, your stamina regenerates 10% faster. Plane of Vitality, when you deflect an attack, you regain up to 8,000 hit points. Aberrant Power, and damage by a foe, a chance to gain a stack of Aberrant Power at 10 stacks. Taking damage will clear the stacks and deal up 10,000 damage to nearby targets. Aberrant creatures take double damage. Aberrant Slaughter, you have a chance to slay aberrant creatures outright when attacking them. The chance runs from 0 to 5% depending on the creature's hit points. I would personally go with Aberrant Power. And yeah, that's it for our boons. Let's actually go to companions now. And also, guys, at the moment, I'm loving on my companions. Like, nothing is 100% maxed out. But these are my companions. Disregard this guy. Yeah, you can disregard him. And I'm still in the process of finding my last and final one. But anyway, we're going to go. First up is the Fire Archon. The active bonus increases your damage against targets with less than 50% hit points by 4%. Then the Siege Master. Active bonus deal plus 3% damage. This effect is also increased plus 7% while on the Stronghold map. Then the Air Archon increases your damage against targets at full health by 2%. Each additional active Archon increases this bonus by 0.5%. And last but not least, our Sail Sword. I do have this one up to legendary. I finally got it up to legendary. But it gives you a bonus of 300 power. And this is my character that I'll leave out, companion that I'll leave out. And the powers that it has are consumed by battle, the final strike, or wicked strike. Now shreds 10% of the target's defense. That is the main reason why, though she is being used, just because it shreds 10% of the target's defense. Expert strike. This companion sees an adventurer while summoning while summoning your companion's power, critical strike, armor penetration are increased by 10%. Their defense and attack abilities have increased to benefit their battle style. Master strike, basically the same thing. Weapons master, an attack using a mastery of great weapons. This attack increases critical strike chance on every successive hit. And wicked strike deals damage to many foes standing in the way of the attack. And if you don't want to use a sellsword, I would personally pick the con artist. Let's make that active and let's look at the bonuses on him. The con artist basically does the same thing with 10% of the target's defense being shredded. So it's either or. As of now, I didn't have any rings to put on this guy. I only had stuff for the waist, neck, and sword knot, just because I was running Illusionist Gambit, and I need to upgrade these to either +5 or +4 in order to basically max out. And I also need to max out my perfect bondings, or bonding runestones, and I should be perfectly fine on this character. The mounts that I use the Rage Drake, Sabino Horse, which is going to be changed within the next few weeks. Axebeak, an Infernal Nightmare, and a Feral Steed. As you can see, the Insignia Bonuses that I use: Berserker's Rage. While at full action points, gain a percentage of your armor pin as power. Warlord's Encouragement. Your summoning companion does more damage. Shepherd's Devotion. When you use a daily power, receive a buff. Oppressor's Respite. When stunned, knocked, or immobilized, receive a heal over time. Survivor's Gift. When you deflect, receive a heal. When you deflect, receive a heal over time. And next up, we're gonna go through my gear. So first up, I have the Bloodlord's Visage. When you kill an enemy, you gain 100 power for 1 minute. I'm currently working on all my enchantments to try to get them up to at least rank 10s. So if you're looking at this now, all my rank 7s and rank 8s that I have, and even rank 9s, they will in the future be ranked up to rank 10. So yeah, don't disregard that, but also look at the enchantments that I have in each slot. So next up, Zakir's Dreadnought. I really just have this for style, to be honest, and because I'm working on my way to get to Servrog and FBI, so I can get my super in gear armor. So I just have this for the item level, to be perfectly honest. So you don't personally need the Zolkir's Dreadnought, but I am running at the moment in the defense slot a Radiant enchantment rank 9, and in the armor enhancement slot a Greater Bark Shield. A Greater Bark Shield, if you don't know, every 8 seconds your armor receives a charge of bolstered bark up to a maximum of 3 charges. When you have 1 charge of bolstered bark, your armor absorbs 16,000 damage. When you have 2 charges of bolstered bark, your armor absorbs 32,000 damage. When you have 3 charges of bolstered bark, your armor absorbs 48,000 damage. Whenever someone attempts to deal damage to you, the 1 charge of bolstered bark is consumed. So basically, guys, you get hit, you don't take damage until you get hit those 3 times, and it takes away all your damage. Next up, the Wisely's dreaded dueling wrist guards. I use this because of the equip. When in combat with only 1 enemy, your armor pin and critical strike is increased by 1,125. This is perfect for bosses that are by themselves, that don't summon a bunch of adds to help them out, because you increase an armor pin and critical strike by 1,125 each time when they're alone. Next up, I have my Aboleth longbow. In my Aboleth longbow, let's look at the equip power. Increases damage done by all shots of rapid shot by 10%, and increased damage done by all strikes of rapid strike by 10%. In my offense slot, I have both Azures, and in my weapon enhancement slot, I have a Greater Dread. And in the Greater Dread, the Dread enchantment, your encounter powers strike with an additional 60% critical severity. Your attacks cause dread in your target for 4 seconds, dealing 40% of your weapon damage as necrotic damage every second, and reducing their defense by 30% for players, and decreasing their damage resistance by 3% for monsters. Except the Aboleth Axis. The artifact class feature aspect of the serpent now also increases your damage by 3% for 2 seconds after changing stances. In my defense and offensive slot, I have an Azure and a Radiant. And also the artifact stat increase, I have plus 370 companion influence, which basically increases my companion damage and stats. In my feet, I have Dragonflight Raid Gators. I just have those for the item level, because at the moment, before I got my the Wisely's Dreaded Dueling wrist guards from the new guy that sells armor in the back of your strongholds, I can't think of his name as of right now, but it costs 20,000 of the guild marks. So at the moment, I'm in the process of farming different events to try to get the different boots. But as of now, I have my Dragonflight. For artifacts, I'm using the Wheel of Elements. Summons forth 4 symbols of elemental power. When an ally passes through a symbol, it is consumed, and its power is granted to the ally. Fire deals 30% bonus damage. Wind grants control immunity, increased run speed. Earth grants 160% maximum hit points as temporary hit points, and water heals for 88%. Oop. I have a Lantern of Revelation. Deals 5,563 damage to a nearby enemies and increases the damage they take by 16% for 6 seconds. I'm using Tiamat's Orb of Majesty. Tiamat's Frightening Roar stuns nearby enemies for 4 seconds, enemy players for 2 seconds, and reduces their damage by 11% for 12 seconds. And last but not least, the Sigil of the Trickster, which I will be changing this to the Sigil of the Controller once I level up my Control Wizard to level 60. But as of now, I use the Sigil of the Trickster. Your Trickster Rogue Spirit teleports you to your targeted enemy within 40 feet, and then release a spray of knives, dealing 14,463 damage in a cone in front of you. Let's get to trousers. I use Gemmed Exquisite Elemental Pants. Your shirt, Gemmed Exquisite Elemental Shirt. For the belt, I use a Greater Twined Rope of Dexterity. For the rings, I use Ring of Sudden Precision +4, which I'm in the process of farming a +5, unless I get to unless I unlock FBI and the Sword Varg, however you say it, SVA. Unless I unlock those first and I get the rings from there. And the other ring, I have the Ring of Brutality. Every 30 seconds, you gain 4,000 power for 10 seconds. Oh, I didn't explain. Also, Precision, every 30 seconds, you gain 4,000 critical strike for 8 seconds. For the neck, I use Company Duelist Cloak because it gives me a +2 dex and plus wisdom. And that's it for my character. Is that about it? I went through the powers, I went through the feats, I went through the boons, I went through the companions, and I went through the mounts. So guys, yeah, that's about it. Oh, these are my current stats at the moment. I will be showing you guys in another video my rotation and how basically what I do in the different fights. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please don't forget to leave a like, and if you really enjoyed it, don't forget to hit the subscribe button right below the video. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed, and yeah, I hope, don't forget, be all American. Peace.